Enterprise Banking Part 3. So SD-WAN, Inter-VLAN Routing, IPsec and Captive Portal configured. You can see that traffic is passing through. This is the Captive Portal. Then this is the firewall for HQ. All interfaces configured. You see. Then all the rules here created. The rules are created, traffic is passing through, then the VPN is also up. You can see it is inactive because it's not sending traffic. This one is still syncing. Same applies here. You see, active. So that is it. Please feel free to work with me as I show you how I configure this particular project. You see traffic is passing. Let's just verify. This is VLAN 10. You see, traffic is passing. Ping 172.30.10.20. You see, I'm able to ping. So in the next step, I'm going to show you how I achieved all this particular project into this. So feel free to follow and watch. The working part of this particular project, whereby everything was working fine. SD-WAN was up. Site-to-site VPN was working. Captive portal and inter-VLAN communication. So now it is time to show you step by step how I achieved that. But before I proceed, it's time I take this opportunity to explain this topology to you. So this is a banking institution that has a headquarters based in Kenya and a branch in South Africa. So when I mean a branch, it is a branch with the connected sub branches. So in Kenya, now being the HQ or the head office, it is supported by the software-defined failover. That is, it has two ISPs, Internet Service Provider, one for Starlink, one is Starlink, the other one is fiber from Cisco, so that when this one fails, the second link takes over. So also the Kenya network is connected. It is connected to the data center here. You can see the Ubuntu server, it's here. Then this is a web server. Then this is the admin. Also, it's connected to administration, LAN, then the operation department here. So the operation and department, these are VLANs connected to one switch. Apart from that, the South African department or branch is having the one main LAN, so that for any user in South Africa to access any resources in the head office based in Kenya, he or she has to use the secure tunnel, that is the VPN. The traffic will not flow through the Safaricom link. It will, once it reaches here, it will flow through the secure tunnel that will be created between the two sides. So you see this switch here, this is an open switch connected to a cloud. This is specifically for management. So port 2 on firewall is connected to the local area network. Port 3 here, it's supporting the data center at the head office in Kenya. And then port 4 is the management port. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to at least to remove this open switch with the cloud to ensure that that my space is just fine. It's not rumbled with cables. So I will do this. I will hide these cables, the management cables, so that at least I reduce the cables on the space. Once I hide this, I just take all of this, then I remove it from the working space. So that is it. That is it. So the first step here is to configure the management interface or the interfaces on both firewalls. So I will start with the head office. On the head office, I'm going to configure the interfaces, configure the VLANs, and allow inter-VLAN communication through the trunk port. This is the trunk port, the port that is connecting the firewall to the switch to the firewall. Then the data center here, it's serving on this. These are their address spaces respectively. So I will start with the switch. You see Ethernet 01, Ethernet 10. So I can erase. Reload. Just take that, then as the switch is reloading, now let me access the firewall. This is the firewall. First of all, you log in, then you create administrator account. Config system global, you set the host name. Configure interface now, edit port 1. This is the Starlink. Set alias Starlink. Then set mode DHCP. Set allow ping HTTP. Next, we move to edit port 3. Set mode static. Set IP. Now we set the IP for this. This is 11, so set IP 172.30.11.124. Set role, that is the LAN. Set alias Datacenter. So from there, next, edit port 4, that is the management port now. Set alias MGT. Then set the management port is going to receive IP address automatically. We set the mode first. Set mode DHCP, then set allow access ping telnet. Set IP. It will get automatic, there is no need of that. Then set next, edit port 2, set alias main LAN. That is it. So set role, this is a LAN port, then diagonalize IP address list. So you see at the moment I have received the management IP, then this is the IP address for the Starlink. Then on that, this is for IP address for the CCOM now. So port 5 here, it is also an internet service provider link connected to Starlink. So I'll just access the firewall config, system interface, edit port 5, set mode DHCP, set alias Starlink, set allow access ping HTTP, next, edit port 1, then we set alias Cisco Hyperlink. So that is it. Diagonalize IP address list. You see, 220 is on port 1, that is Cisco. Then this is for the data center. Then this is for the management. Then 224 is for the Starlink. Just as you can see, 224 is for Starlink, 222 is for the Cisco. So at this stage, I have finished setting the interfaces for the firewall based in Kenya, that is the head office. So the next thing, I'm going to configure VLANs, assign switch ports on the VLAN. Then the next thing, I'm going to configure the trunk port to allow the relevant VLANs, that's VLAN 10 for administration and VLAN 20 for operations. So at this stage, config hostname. The hostname is already set. So VLAN 10 name administration, then VLAN 20 name operations. So now is to assign switch ports, interface range Ethernet 0, 1 to 2, switch port access VLAN 10, 10 to 1, switch port access VLAN 20. Then from there, description operation. From there, exit. Then I configure the trunk port interface Ethernet 0/0, description trunk port. Then now you see these particular ports are in auto negotiation. They are alternating between the .1Q 802.1Q and the interswitch link, that is ISL for Cisco. So what I'm going to do is to switch port trunk encapsulation .1Q. I become specific on the protocol that I'm going to use. Then switch port mode trunk, then switch port trunk allowed. So the first command here is, it helped me to choose the specific protocol for trunking. Then this helped me to switch this particular switch port. This is Ethernet /0 into a trunk port, Then this command, now I'm allowing the VLANs on that trunk port. So switch port trunk allowed VLAN 10 and 20. So that is it. We end, then we write memory. So once we write memory, show VLANs. Now you can notice that there is VLAN 10, then 20, then this is the ID. When you come here, there is 10 administration, then 20 operations, and these are their respective switch ports assigned to that. So that is it. So I have successfully configured VLANs on this switch, so that this layer 2 switching is being done by this particular switch, then the routing part will be done with this particular firewall. So the sub virtual interfaces, I'm going to create them on the firewall and link them on this particular port 2. At this moment, port 2 is not going to be assigned with any IP address. So once I do that, I will access the firewall in the browser. So I can just 192.168.10.94. So you see, I'm unable to access this particular firewall at the moment in the browser because I did not allow the HTTP, the web capability. So the firewall lacked the web capability. So, and on this case, I'm going to re-access the firewall again. Then what I'm going to do is to ensure admin, then admin config system interface edit port 4 set allow https fgm telnet ping. So the moment I allow this, I'll be able to access the firewall in the browser. Even it will just reload automatic. You see, I have successfully accessed the firewall in the browser. Don't save, then reboot. So while this firewall is rebooting, let me now configure the next firewall. That's the firewall based in South Africa, that is going to serve as our main branch. So the same is going to be replicated here. So you log in, username is admin, then the password is empty. You set your password. Once that is done, we can reset the terminal. Then at this stage, you configure hostname. Hostname is used to identify the device on the network. South Africa. Firewall 2. Then config. You configure the management interface. First of all, that is the one port. So once you are done that, edit port 2, set mode static, set allow access ping, set IP, this 172, set IP 172.30.12.1.24. Once you are done that, you set the row to be LAN. So at this stage, we move to the next port, edit port 4, that is the management port now, set mode DHCP, set allow FGM, HTTP, HTTPS ping, SSH. So that is it. Remember the first firewall, I failed to include this particular command. I was not able to access it via the web. So that is a crucial command. Set alias MGT, then next. There is just port 2 and port 1. There is no any other port plus port 4 for the management. So once at this stage, we can just diagnose IP address list. You can see 69. This one is for the interface service provider, internet service provider. Then this one is for the LAN. Then when I reload, the management is 95. So first of all, I will log in here. Then re-access the one for the South Africa. So once you access the firewall for the first time, ensure that you extend the idle time. You extend the idle time to ensure that at least it does not lock you out. So to access that, you go to the system. You go to the system, then on the system, click on settings. On settings, this is the part. Idle time, you give it the maximum. Once you do that, you save. Same applies here. Setting. So that is it. So far I have configured the VLANs and the trunk port, configure the interfaces on both firewalls. By meaning interface, I'm meaning both the management interface, the internet service provider interface, and the LAN interfaces. All are configured. So the next step, I'm going to enable the DHCP server capability on the local area network interfaces. I mean, the interfaces facing the data center, the interface that is facing the data center here, the interface that is facing administration, that is VLAN, and on this I'm going to recreate the sub-virtual interface on this particular port 2 for these two VLANs. Then I'm also going to enable the DHCP on this particular branch 1. Branch 1 can be even branch 3, no problem. So this is branch 1, 2, 3, then that is it. I'm going to, it's already even here. So I'm going to enable the DHCP here. So the first thing, I'm going to access the firewall in Kenya. So on this firewall here, the first thing, so this is the Kenyan firewall. The first thing, I'll go to the dashboard, then the network, then click on the interfaces. On the interfaces, this is for the data center. This is for simulation, but in real practice, ensure that this is statically configured because it is linked to majority of the servers. But for simulation here, I'm just going to allow DHCP to work because, let me specify DNS here, because I don't want to waste time on configuring it statically. So once the management interface now has the DHCP capability, then this is the main LAN. There is no IP configured on this, you see. So you leave it the way it is. Then what you do, you just come and create sub interface here. You call it administration VLAN 10. So that is it. You can just that is one admin, then VLAN 10. So alias VLAN 10. So remember, I chose this particular protocol on the switch through trunk port to at least to allow traffic from VLAN 10 and 20 to the firewall, so that the VLAN ID is 10. Then this particular role of this particular port is the LAN port. Remember, it is operating on this segment. So 172.30.10.1/24. You give it the first IP address from that subnet. Then you allow this capability. You enable the DHCP on that. Then 20. You specify the DNS. So once you specify the DNS, you save. So the interface now, I'm creating this particular sub-virtual interface on port 2. That is this port here. So the first virtual interface for VLAN 10 is created. So I'm going to recreate VLAN 20. Operations. operations, then alias is VLAN 20, then interface we bind it to port 2, then the ID is 20. So once we specify that, then the subnet is 30.13.1/24. We enable the administrative access, that is ping and HTTPS. From here we configure the DHCP server by just enabling. Then we specify the DNS server here. So we give it that, then we are good to go. So I have successfully now created the sub-virtual interface for this VLAN. Now the remaining part is now to access this firewall and also enable the DHCP for this particular network. Once that one is enabled, then I'll come back on this firewall, then allow this particular VLAN to communicate with this particular VLAN, vice versa, then allow this one to access the data center, same VLAN 20 to access the data center and also to access the internet. So at that stage, and remember the SD-WAN is between the Starlink and the fiber link from Cisco. So one is going, the fiber link from Cisco is the primary link. When it fails, the Starlink takes over and vice versa, depending on the SD-WAN rules that I'm going to create. So at that stage, let me move to this VLAN. Now to create rules, the static route first. At this stage, it means I'm going to access everything on the internet through which interface. So now because this interface is going, these two interfaces are going to serve under the SD-WAN family. The static route will be through the SD-WAN interface. So to do that, I'm going first of all to create the SD-WAN. You create a zone. SD-WAN zone. Then OK. Remember, the moment you create a zone, the zone is always down. You see the red, the link is down. But when you bring members into the zone will just automatically be up. So the first link here is the Cisco. Then the gateway is dynamic. Then you leave it the way it is. Then you create another member. Just choose here, it is Starlink, then dynamic. The zone here you choose SD-WAN zone, you enable. So sorry, there is something that I did here that is wrong. So I'm going to disable that. So at this stage, I created the zone, but still you can use the default zone. So here, you'll notice that it has only the SICOM link, so I will enable this one, and the zone I'm going to use the virtual link zone. You see, the moment I create that, now I'll have two ports there. The yellow port is the port 5, that is the Starlink, then the green one is the fiber link from SICOM. So that is it. You see that at this moment there is no traffic that is passing through. So then I'll create the service level agreement here. Access Google. Access DNS. So that is it. Then we are going to use the ping capability, and then the server. These are the servers that need to be accessed. So here we specify the members. At this stage, I'm configuring the Starlink. So preference, it will be from SICOM to Starlink. Then SL service, SLA target. You just leave the default the way it is because this is for simulation. Then it's okay. So once it's done that way, we come and create the rule. So this rule, it will be helping us to access the internet. The source is everything. You can specify the source to be so the source here, for example, here the source, I mean you specify this subnet or this subnet or just all. It means anything connected to that particular firewall. So you can choose the operation for that VLAN. So first of all, let me just give it everything. The source where traffic will be coming from, admin, then you add operations, then you add let me just give it everything. There is no user group at the moment. Then destination is everything. On this, I'm going to do it manually so that I choose the interface preference. I prefer that one. That is the CConf. Then zone preference, my zone is this one. That is it. At this particular moment, now I'll be in position to ping the internet. But remember, when traffic comes from either VLAN 10 or VLAN 20 or from the data center, it will not use either of the Starlink or the fiber. It will use a virtual SD-WAN software-defined WAN interface. That's one. Let's just verify. IP DHCP. It will get IP address automatically. You see? This one means that it is accessing 172.30.10.1. You see? That is the gateway for that particular VLAN. Same applies here. DHCP space D. It will go through the DORA process, and it will at the end it will get the IP address and the specific DNS configured. So once, let me just check port 3. Yes, port 3 is well configured. So at this stage now, I have created, what I have done so far, I have created the virtual links for the VLAN 10 and 20, configure the SD-WAN. So when, let me just check ping IP DHCP. Remember, I haven't created end rule to access the internet, so at this point I cannot access the internet. Ping 8.8. You see, there is a drop. I cannot access the internet right now because I haven't created the rules here. Now let me create the rules. Policy and object. The first rule is to allow the data center and the VLAN 10 and 20 to access the internet. So this is data center to internet. Then the incoming port, it will be the port 3. Then outgoing, you see now there is a virtual link. It's no longer going to access so it will use that one, the source, destination, everything on that, then generate traffic. Okay. So at this stage, let me just confirm something to you. First, if at all the computer in the data center is going to get IP address automatically, of course it's going to work because I had enabled this. Now let's ping the internet. You see there is a drop. What we can do, we can just come on this rule. There is no security profile that is allowed here. So I want the data center to access the internet using the fiber link. So, and you see at the moment there is no fiber link here. So it will just use that. It's not the management. It will just use a virtual link. Then destination is everything. The source is the error here. This one will just pick because it is synchronizing. Once you will see the rule, it will show you here. So the next thing is to create access to VLAN 10 to 20. VLAN 10 to 20. Incoming traffic is from VLAN 10, outgoing is VLAN 20. Everything is, the source is everything, then the service, I'm going to allow all the services. Then this one, all sessions, I'm going to generate the traffic as it is. Once that is created, we just copy the rule, then this is VLAN 20 to 10, then the incoming, it will be operations, that's VLAN 20, the outgoing is VLAN 10, administration, then everything remains the way it is. Ensure NAT is enabled, because this is a static NAT or a source NAT. Remember, when you copy a firewall policy, it's not always up, so you have to statically enable it. So that is it. At this point now, I can ping VLAN 10 to VLAN 20 and vice versa. So let me just show you. This is, let me stop this one. IP DHCP. So this is VLAN 20 IP DHCP. IP DHCP. You see this computer is from VLAN 20 and it has received the IP address automatically. Then this is VLAN 10. It has received from the dedicated subnet. I want to ping. I'm pinging this particular address. Ping 172.30.13.13.21. You see, from VLAN 10, I'm able to communicate to VLAN 20 due to the power of these two rules that I have created here. You see, at that point, I'm able to communicate. Now let me be back. Then I take this one, ping 172.30.10.20. You see, I'm able to communicate. So communication between inter-VLAN routing is now successfully configured. In this scenario, the firewall is handling the routing, then the switch is doing the layer 2 switching. So that is how you can separate traffic, not to overwhelm one device. So the next thing I'm going to, for example, this is the IP address for this particular. I'm going to ping the gateway for the SICOM firewall to test the SICOM link to test the SD-WAN here. So I'll be on the firewall, then admin, execute, ping Google, even google.com. I can do it via the web. Execute, ping 88. If there is a delay, I can still ping the gateway. When I can reach this one, 122.1, you see it's pinging, so it means I can reach the internet. And at this stage, now let me suspend the link for Starlink, suspend, then come back on this firewall and repeat the same. Still you can see traffic is going through. This is the power of the SD-WAN, that is software defined WAN, that is wide area network. So SD-WAN is working, inter-VLAN routing is working. Now the remaining part The DHCP, of course, it's working. Now the remaining part is to configure the IPsec tunnel. So I'll start with the HQ. I'll go to the ISP, to the VPN tab, then create the IPsec tunnel. In this case, I'm going to create a site-to-site VPN. As per my topology, you can see it is just a point-to-point, so that traffic from any of the LAN is securely transmitted by the tunnel. So this is HQ Kenya _ VPN. Then I'll just choose site to site. Remember, there are these types of VPN: site to site, hub and spoke, remote access. All of them I have demonstrated them, so I just choose that. Then the remote IP address is the ISP for the internet service provider at this point. This is it: 192.122, 192.168.122.69. So that's the link that I'm going to use here: 192.168.122.69. If you fail, the moment you enter that particular link, it will give you the automatic outgoing interface. It means that the outgoing interface I'll use, outgoing interface is this particular interface. It means to access this one, this is the interface that will be used to access that. So the two interfaces will coordinate to create a security tunnel. So at this stage, I provide the passphrase. Then next, I provide the local interface. What's the local interface for this particular? You can provide the local interface. You can provide that one, then that one. Then remote you will just type 172.168.13 or what, 12.0.24. That is it. Then you end and create. So once you create this one, you've finished configuring the IPsec tunnel on FortiGate Firewall based at the head office. But when now you come on the tunnel, the tunnels are down. You can see. You see, all the faces are down. So these are some of the challenges that you face when creating the VPN. Remember, they are down because the other side is not yet configured. This is a point-to-point communication. So then this is SA VPN. Still the template is site to site. Then remote, the IP address for remote is 192.168.122.220. This is the IP, because the other one is on the other it's on the other side, so I'll use this 220. So the moment I pick that, it will show you that I will use the port 1. Then I authenticate that tunnel through Fortinet, that particular shared key. Then local interface, I just pick the LAN interface. That is it. The moment you pick the right interface, it will retrieve the subnet. Then the remote 172.30.10.0/24. Then 172.30.13.0/24. If I'm not wrong, because it's okay, you see. So once done, then click OK, check. So the tunnels are created. I have finished. You see, this is the summary of what I have done. Phase 1, is South Africa VPN, local address group is this, then remote is this, then phase 2 is the same name, then static route created, black hole is also created, local to remote policies, they are created, back to and fro policies are created. So that is it. You can now show tunnel list. At this side there are 4, then at this side there are how many? So at this point the tunnels are up, they are still down. You see, the moment I have just refreshed, because it is forcing, the tunnels are forcing themselves to be up. So the first phase is up, then if the first phase is up, you can just manually bring the second phase up also. So you just right click this one, then bring the phase 2 selector, but it is not coming up. Let's check where is the issue. So you go to IPsec tunnels, you see, so there is a problem. Phase 1 is up, but phase 2 is not up. Let's troubleshoot this and see where is the problem. So you see traffic is already passing through, but there is virtual WAN link. So I will edit something here. So you see the rules here, the rules are created. Policy ID. The type is side to side, phase 2 is down, so phase 1 is up. So what I'm going to do, phase 2 is the one that is down, phase 2 selectors, I think. Here is where there is a problem. So let me check on the first firewall. SA VPN, because it should use the link, you see. Please use this to enable the service overlay. I'm not using that. So you see the problem is here. Here the reference is 6, then there is this one. On this it's 4. You see, this is 4. So on this firewall I did not create the static route. You see. So you see this one is 192.122 dot, and it is passing through the so the tunnels here are up, you can see. So the next thing is to check something on this network static route. That one. So this is the destination, South Africa VPN through port 1, then the gateway, let me specify, the gateway is 220. So on that, when you do that, it will reboot. Let's check the backhaul. So on that, the network is okay. Phase 1 is okay. So this one is okay. I have verified everything, it's working. So this one, after negotiation, it will just be up. So let me move on the last part of this particular project. So now I'm configuring the captive portal here. So first of all, I'll edit this to ensure that it gets IP address automatic from that subnet. So once I do that, I create a firewall policy here to allow the traffic to go through the internet. LAN to internet. Incoming, I'm creating on Kenya, okay? So it will be on South Africa. So security and the firewall policy. Then this one is LAN to internet. So in this project, I have just deliberately created that also to understand how you can bring about the VPN tunnels, because that's one of the projects that I have already covered and they are on the channel. Incoming is port 2, then outgoing is port 1, then the source is everything. That is all, then all, the service is all. Then on this NAT is enabled, then generate on that. So once we do that, we configure the user authentication. We create a group, captive portal users. Then we create a member, manager, then manager. So that user to access the internet has to be authenticated through the credentials that have been created on the server. So once that is done, just come and enable the, first of all, we check. You see traffic is going through. We check this particular manager, whether you see whether it has received the IP address or not. So to verify that, not yet received IP address, we will just close this one. Then we start again. Once we start, so it can't get IP address automatically because on this interface, I'm sure it did not. You see port 2, the interface is not DHCP enabled. So once you do that, it's okay now. So at this stage, let me now confirm. You access the terminal, then IP address. You see, this is the IP address that has been received. Then ping 888. You see it's pinging. So now we can access the internet. Let's close this one and refresh. So once we refresh that one, now let me enable the captive portal on this department. To enable captive portal, here we will enable it on this particular port 2 that is facing the LAN South African firewall. We go to the port 2. So on this port 2 here, we will come and enable the security mode, then choose the captive portal. Authentication is going to be locally. We restrict to a particular group, then we choose the group, that is the captive portal users. Then at this stage, let's try to verify. When the user tries to access the site that I'm going to verify here, he has to authenticate. So let me check. Let me enter Facebook or TikTok, maybe tiktok.com. So that is it. So once you configure that, on this you will get a pop-up that we stop, then we start. You see, you must log into this network before you can access the internet. So this is how we manage to configure the captive portal. That captive portal is used to restrict users while accessing resources on the network. So for you to understand who accessed the resource at what particular time and which particular resource was accessed, you have to, the firewall has the power to keep all those logs for accountability. So in this case, I have configured the captive portal to ensure that this manager, who is based in South African network, must log in by providing the username and the password created on this particular firewall to access the internet through the Safaricom link. So the moment, for you to know that you've successfully configured the captive portal, you need to get this particular pop-up. When you access a service in the browser, it has to tell you that you must, this particular pop-up, that you must log into this network before you can access the internet. So now we open the page. You see, this is the page that you should receive. It's the firewall provides the login page for that, and you see this is 172.30.12.1. that is the gateway, that is the IP address for this interface. So at that stage you can just enter the credentials that were created. So that is it. You have to enter the password. tiktok.com. You see, so like the moment it provides that particular page, you don't open that particular page, but you type the particular firewall, the particular website that you had been given on the firewall. In my case, I had specified this particular, in my case, I had specified this particular website, that is TikTok. You see, you come under security policy. You see, I specified TikTok, you see. So when you type TikTok, you have to enter the credentials that were created in this group. That is why the moment I entered TikTok here, let me just try again for you to see, tiktok.com. You see, it pops up this particular login page. When you enter right credentials, then you will access the site TikTok. So that's how it works. ping. You see, now there is a problem to do with the internet. It's not accessing the internet. The rule is created, then the firewall policy, you see, traffic is passing, so it's working. So this is how you configure this particular feature. So just to sum up, this is an enterprise banking network. That is part 3. Part 1, part 2 is already published. You can check about it. Then this is just part 3 that has constituted the SD-WAN Inter-VLAN Routing, IPsec VPN, and Captive Portal. Feel free to leave a comment on YouTube for collaboration. And just a reminder, don't forget to subscribe on the channel.